Hi, a very good morning. I am Lakshmi Narayana Gunta, PGT in Zoology at APMS and Junior College Karvanja, and also working as NEET Super 60 Zoology faculty at Duppulavalsa, Srikakulam. Today, we are going to discuss the muscle contraction. A number of theories have been postulated to explain this muscle contraction, but the best accepted theory is the sliding filament theory of muscle contraction. We are going to discuss that one today. Okay, before we discuss this muscle contraction, let us recap a few concepts like sarcomere. Sarcomere is the portion of the myofibril between two successive Z lines. Here in this diagram you can observe this one is a Z line and this one is another Z line. The area present between two successive Z lines is called as sarcomere. This sarcomere, it is the structural and functional contraction unit of a myofibril. And the sarcomere, it consists of an A band, that is dark band, and two halves of light bands, that is I bands. Here you can observe a light band. This all is a light band. This one is the Z line and this one is another Z line. Okay. The area present between these two is called as sarcomere. The sarcomere consists of a dark band and two light halves of light bands. Two halves of light band. This one is one half and this one is another half. Okay. And a motor unit. What do you mean by a motor unit? A motor neuron and the set of muscle fibers innervated by all the telodendrites is called as a motor unit. Here you can observe this one is called as a motor unit. These axon terminals of a motor neuron, they supply the action potential to all the myofibrils. And one more important concept, that is neuromuscular junction. What is a neuromuscular junction? The junction between a motor neuron and the sarcolemma of a muscle fiber is called as neuromuscular junction. Here you can clearly observe this one is a neuromuscular junction. This is a motor unit and this one is the motor end plate. What do you mean by motor end plate? The depression of the sarcolemma on which the tips of the motor axon terminals end is called as motor end plate. Here this one is the motor end plate and this one is the motor unit. This axon terminal, it brings in the action potential or the nerve impulse to the motor end plate. And now let us move to the sliding filament theory. A number of theories have been postulated to explain this muscle contraction, out of which the most accepted one is the sliding filament theory, which is proposed by Hugh Huxley and Gene Hansen. The theory is called so because of the sliding of the thin actin filaments over the thick myosin filament. And the sarcomere, it is the smallest unit of muscle contraction. Okay. This one is a Z line and this one is another Z line. The area present between two Z lines is called as sarcomere. When the Z lines they come close to each other, what happens? Automatically the muscle is contracted. Here you can observe the Z lines, they came close to each other, which is called as sliding. That's why the theory is called as sliding filament theory. Okay, let us observe the different steps in this sliding filament theory. The first step is the excitation of the muscle, which happens because of an action potential generated at the motor unit. Okay, because of the action potential generated, this action potential, it spreads to all the myofiber, and from the T tubule it enters into the triad. Okay, there the cisternae, they release calcium ions. Okay, and because of this cross bridges are formed. Okay, here you can observe the myosin actin cross bridge. Okay, these cross bridges, they are formed. This is the second step in muscle contraction. And the third one is the power stroke, during which the ATP binding site on the myosin head, they receive ATP, and in the presence of ATPase, an enzyme ATPase, this ATP is converted into ADP and inorganic phosphate, and thereby the chemical energy is converted into mechanical energy, which pushes the actin filaments towards the M line. Okay, this is called as power stroke. After the energy is consumed, then the myosin head, it comes to its original position, and again fresh ATP comes and binds at the ATP binding site, and again the process repeats, which is called as the recovery stroke. Okay, and finally the last step is relaxation of the muscle. This happens when the action potential is stopped. Okay, when the action potential is stopped, the all reactions, they are stopped, and formation of cross bridges never happens, which is called as the relaxation of muscle. Okay, let us discuss all these events one by one. Let us discuss all these events one by one in detail. The first one is the excitation of muscle. During this excitation of muscle, acetylcholine or ACH is released at the neuromuscular junction. This one is called as the neuromuscular junction. At this neuromuscular junction, acetylcholine is released, and this acetylcholine is received by the motor end unit, which is present on the sarcolemma. There are a number of receptors you can observe here. These receptors, they receive the neurotransmitters, and in turn they proceed to the next step in the contraction of muscle. During resting stage, what we observe is inside the sarcoplasm there is negative charge, and outside the sarcoplasm there is positive charge, which creates a potential difference. Okay, and outside there are sodium ions, and inside there are potassium ions, and the ACH, which creates the action potential at the sarcolemma. Okay, the action potential is spread to the T tubule, and these T tubules, they make the cisternae to release calcium ions. These calcium ions, they reach the sarcoplasm. As the level of calcium ions is increased inside the cytoplasm of the sarcoplasm, these calcium ions, they reach the troponin C. Troponin complex we have studied in our previous segment. Okay, these calcium ions, they bind to the troponin C. C for calcium, T for tropomyosin, I for inhibition. And as these calcium ions, they come and attach with the troponin C, what happens? The tropomyosin complex, it moves away from the active sites of the actin filament. Okay, thereby the active sites of actin filaments, they are exposed. Here you can clearly observe the active sites, they are exposed. And then what happens? The energy is released by the ATP binding site by converting ATP into ADP and inorganic phosphate. Okay, with this chemical energy, these myosin heads, they use this chemical energy and convert into mechanical energy. With this mechanical energy, they come and attach with the active sites on the actin filament. Okay, this is the formation of cross bridges. The cross bridges, they are formed like this. This one is the active site on actin filament. This one is the myosin head, and these myosin heads, they come and attach with the active sites on the actin filament, which is called as a cross bridge. And the next one, that is the power stroke. As the inorganic phosphate is released, I have already told you, under the presence of an enzyme ATPase, this ATP is converted into ADP and inorganic phosphate. As the ATP is broken down into ADP and inorganic phosphate, some amount of energy is released. This energy, it is utilized by the myosin heads. Thereby, these myosin heads, they undergo conformational changes so that they can bind with the active sites. So that these cross bridges, they pull the actin filaments towards the center of the A band. Okay, this is called as power stroke. Here you can clearly observe the cross bridges. Okay, these are the myosin heads. These myosin heads, they are attached at the active sites, and as a result, the actin filaments, they come close to the center of the A band. During this power stroke, the Z lines attached to the actin filaments, they also are pulled inward, thereby the sarcomere is shortened. This is called as the contraction. Here in this diagram you can clearly observe the green colored one, the Z line, and the violet colored ones, they are A bands, and these greenish yellow colored ones, they are actin filaments. Okay. So during this muscle contraction, what happens? The length of the I bands is decreased and the length of the H band is also decreased. Here you can clearly observe. Okay, this one. But is there any change in the length of the dark band? No, there is no change in the length of the dark band. It remains the same even during muscle contraction or during muscle relaxation. Okay, and coming to the next step, that is recovery stroke. As the energy is consumed in power stroke and the ATP binding site, it receives another fresh ATP, and this fresh ATP, it again is converted into ADP and inorganic phosphate by the action of an enzyme called as ATPase under the presence of calcium ions. And as the ATP is broken into ADP and inorganic phosphate, some amount of energy is released. This chemical energy is converted into mechanical energy. Thereby the myosin head, it attaches with the adjacent active site. Suppose previously this myosin head, it has been bound to this active site. This time this myosin head, it binds to this active site. Okay, this way it pushes the actin filaments towards the center of the dark band. Okay, and in the next recovery stroke, it attaches here, and similarly it goes on like this. Okay, this cycle is repeated as long as the muscle receives stimuli from the nervous system, whether it may be from the central nervous system or it may be in the form of a reflex. And the last one is relaxation of the muscle. This happens because of the motor impulses which are stopped. As the motor impulses, they are stopped, what happens? First of all, the calcium ions released into the sarcoplasm, they are pumped back into the sarcoplasmic cisternae. As the calcium ions are pumped back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum, that is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum of the muscle fiber. As a result, the active sites on the thin filaments, they are again masked. Thereby the myosin heads, they fail to bind with the active sites of the actin. Okay, as a result, the Z lines, they return to their original position, and here in this diagram you can clearly observe the H zone is again increased and the actin filaments, they attain their original position, which is called as relaxation. And after a series of muscle contractions, sometimes our muscles, they may fail to contract, which is called as muscle fatigue. The temporary inability of the muscle to contract after repeated muscle contractions is called as muscle fatigue. Okay, it is because of the accumulation of lactic acid inside the muscles. How this lactic acid is accumulated? What happens to the muscle? And how this muscle again it contracts after some time. Okay, let us observe this one. During strenuous exercise, our muscles, they repeatedly they contract. Okay, but when the oxygen is not available sufficient, what happens? The glucose present inside the muscle, it undergoes anaerobic respiration. During normal condition, the glucose, it releases a net of 36 ATPs. Okay, whereas in the absence of oxygen, this glucose, it is converted into lactic acid by producing only 2 ATPs. This lactic acid, it is again sent back into the liver through blood, and 80% of lactic acid, that is 4/5 of the lactic acid, it is carried to the liver and there it is again converted into glycogen by a process called as gluconeogenesis. Okay, in liver the lactic acid is primarily converted into pyruvic acid or pyruvate, and this pyruvic acid or pyruvate it is again converted into glucose by the process of gluconeogenesis, and this glucose it is again carried to the muscle through the blood. Okay, and this glucose is again utilized by the muscle, and this two-way process between liver and skeletal muscle is called as Cori cycle. Our blood is red in color because of the hemoglobin. Similarly, the muscles also they contain a pigment called as myoglobin. This myoglobin it is an iron containing red colored pigment which is responsible for storing the oxygen. And one more concept, that is rigor mortis. What is rigor mortis? Here in this diagram you observe, is it a live one or is it a dead one? Yes, this pig is a dead pig. How can you say that this is a dead one? Because of this rigor mortis. What is rigor mortis? Rigor mortis is the stiffening of the body after death. Why this happens? Why the body is becomes stiff? As this pig is dead, what happens? The cells also they stop producing this ATP. As the ATP is not produced, what happens? The cross bridges they cannot be broken. As the cross bridges they are not broken, the muscles they become stiff, and this phenomena of stiffening of the body after death is called as rigor mortis. Okay, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe my channel and follow me on YouTube simply by typing Lakshmi Narayana Gunta. Okay, thank you.